Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to go over the 5 biggest mistakes that I see people making when they're shopping for either a new or a used kayak. I'll go over each category in a little bit of detail. At the end of the video, I will link my video that I did for kind of a buyer's guide or a simpler way to shop for kayaks. But I see these mistakes made a lot, both online and in person, and I wanted to kind of address these and hopefully make this process a little bit easier for some of you. Those of you that have already bought a kayak or maybe made some of these mistakes in the past, let me know down in the comments below on how that affected your process or really just cost you more money over the long term. Because keep in mind, I have made some of these mistakes in person, and I can definitely speak to this. This could save you thousands of dollars in the long run and make your time on the water a lot more enjoyable. So anyways, guys, thank you for coming by. Let's get right into it. Really, I'll start with number 5, and these aren't in any particular order as far as more important or least important, but number 5 I'll go over is going to be too brand loyal. So, and we've all been there. We all had a kayak from a company, doesn't matter who it is, that we really enjoyed, and we want to stick with that company. And it's kind of human nature to do so. So some of you are Jackson guys, some of you are Hobie guys, Bonafide, Native, but there's so many options in today's market. So, and specifically I'm talking about, say you've got a lake fishing kayak that you want to do tournaments in, you've already got this kayak, say it's the Bonafide XTR 130, and you want to stick with them, but you want something maybe a little bit easier throw and go, maybe for rivers and moving water. Maybe you want to do whitewater. I don't know, but sometimes it kind of limits you a little too much staying with one brand, because there's a lot of brands out there that maybe specialize in the particular kind of kayak that you're looking for. And that's really all I mean by that. There's a lot of quality manufacturers out there, and some of them may have a really complete lineup, say with Bonafide or with New Canoe, or you could get some, maybe a little bit more of a specialty niche company. And I'm talking about maybe a Crescent for moving water, or, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there. If you want to do long distance touring, you know, Eddy Line kayaks, Hurricane kayaks, there's a lot of different things out there instead of just staying in one brand's box. And again, nothing wrong with that, but that is something I see people doing. Say they want to stay with, you know, they got a big stable kayak and they want something very nimble and they want to stick with that same brand. But again, there may be better options out there, or even less pricey options out there for that particular need. And my garage is no different. We have 3 different brands in our personal garage, and these are kayaks that we specifically picked out for specific uses. So you don't have to buy a kayak for each use, but just know, as much as we love certain brands, we tend to go a little bit of a different brand approach for specific needs. So number 4 is not being honest with yourself. And what I mean by that is, what are you going to be using this kayak for? What kind of water are you going to be on? Are you wanting this specific kayak because you see other people doing it? Or is it something that you feel is going to check all of the boxes for what you need and nothing else? This is very important, because this can really get you out of the keeping up with the Joneses. I can't tell you how many times I've seen on Facebook Marketplace, which has kind of become the newest used kayak marketplace, but you see a kayak that has just been rigged out. You got live scope, you got fish finders, you got motors on the front and back, you got batteries, everything on it. And somebody has spent $10,000 to $15,000 on a setup and never got it into the water. This is usually because maybe they saw something on YouTube here, or they saw something on Facebook. Maybe they joined a local group of kayak fishermen and they saw somebody's setup and say, man, that is really cool. There's one thing to say that somebody's setup looks cool, and there's another thing saying that I got to have that. Even if it doesn't apply to your way of fishing. Now, if it does, sky's the limit with kayak fishing, go for it. Absolutely. But there's a lot of people I feel like that get into it because it's in the budget and it's really cool. But by the time you get this thing built out, a lot of people will build out their kayaks before they get it out on the water. And I always kind of pump the brakes on people on this. When it comes to accessorizing a kayak, sometimes it's really nice just to get it out with a paddle or pedal drive and not just go nuts on it. So Get it out on the water first, get a feel for it. Then you can kind of know after taking it out a couple of trips what you want this thing to be. So what I mean by being honest with yourself, again, be honest with what is your primary use going to be. Some people want to do both moving water and calm flat water, but what's going to be the biggest use of it? Is it 60-40 flat water versus moving water? Then you want to go a little bit more of a lake setup. But if it's a reverse, go a little bit more performance. But be honest with yourself on what you're going to use this kayak for, and be honest with what direction you see yourself going in the next few years. This will really prevent you from the need to upgrade every year or two. So what box do you want to stay in there for at least a couple of years? And that'll keep you from just perpetually buying a kayak every year and just spending more and more money and getting more and more into the hole on it. Okay, number 3 is going to be combining a subpar quality product with a quality product. And what I mean by that is if you're paddling, you're getting a really quality kayak and you're getting a subpar quality paddle. And this is really counterproductive. So as much as that kayak was meant to move through the water, it's like putting a 4-cylinder in a large SUV. And you're going to tax your body a lot worse. You're going to not enjoy it as much. I always say if you're looking at staying in a budget for right now to see if you like it, invest in the quality paddle first. Get a high quality paddle. If you got a $1,000 budget, make sure you're saving that $150 to $200 of that $1,000 for a quality paddle. If you want to upgrade the kayak eventually, get a paddle where you don't have to also upgrade. This can really amplify the amount of money that you're having to invest to enjoy your time on the water. If you're not paddling, if you're looking at going with a pedal drive, or if you're looking at going with a motor, again, a lot of people try to manufacture a kayak to do something that wasn't designed to do. And that's kind of what I mean by that. So if you're getting just a cheap $150 trolling motor and a setup, if that works for you, that's great. A lot of people do this though, thinking they're going to get the same kind of performance as they do with Motor Guide or the Minn Kotas. And it's just not the case. A lot of people ask me about the water snake setup, and because it's cheaper, but you're not going to get the performance. And it's inevitable if you invest in that kind of a product, you're eventually going to get to a point where you want more. You want more performance. You want to cover more distance. You want a bigger runtime on it. You want more speed. This can prevent you from, again, upgrading unnecessarily in the future. So again, really look at what you're wanting to do. And there's a running theme with this. So motors, again, there's not a huge amount of variety of motors out there, but there are some motors out there that are substantially cheaper, but you do get what you pay for. But maybe you don't need all the abilities that come with a $1,500 motor. Maybe a $300 or $400 motor will fit the bill. But if you're looking at getting a 150, 200 pound kayak, these big setups, chances are a $150 kayak motor is not going to propel that like you want it to. Same thing with a paddle. Your paddle, consider that being your gas mileage on your body. How much work are you going to want to do to propel this kayak? And this kayak may be designed to maneuver through the water very well, but you're going to want to pair that with a high quality, high functioning paddle. If you've ever paddled with a quality paddle, I'm talking about a quality paddle, you probably aren't even looking back to the cheaper stuff. It's always great if you got a paddle shop close by that can do a demo day event. Don't be afraid to demo certain paddles too. And that's a big, big plus. You know, when you're talking about carbon fiber or fiberglass or just plastic, there's a very, very big difference, but there's also a very big difference in cost as well. Number 2 is probably the thing that I see the most often in online, whether it's people reaching out to me or seeing it in the Facebook groups and things like that, is focusing too much on stability. So we all want to be stable in our fishing kayaks or recreational kayaks. Any kayak, you're going to want some form of stability in it. Focusing too much on it. So it doesn't matter what kayak it is. It can be a kayak that's designed to go through moving water, to maneuver extremely well. It never fails. Somebody's going to ask, how stable is it? So focusing too much on stability, if you're out there on the lake and say you're getting a lot of wake thrown at you, or you're out there in a high traffic area, the more stability that's built into a kayak, the more that kayak is going to want to stay parallel to the surface. What I mean by is you've got water chopping around, that boat is also going to want to do that. That's too much stability, primary stability, that initial wiggle. So a lot of people will say this kayak is not stable because it threw them off. Well, if you're standing out there on a boat dock and you're getting a lot of wake, that's why a lot of your marinas are no wake zones. Just know that focusing too much on stability can really be a detriment to your performance. And performance is key, in my opinion. I don't care if you're paddling, if you're pedaling, or if you're motorizing. How that performs in the water is going to give you performance. It's going to make that motor go faster for longer. It's going to make your legs not give out as fast on a pedal drive. And if you're paddling it, you know all about performance. You want stability, but you don't want to focus too much on it. A lot of stability is personal stability versus kayak stability. So if you're not very stable in general, you're probably not going to feel very stable on a kayak, and you're just going to need to kind of get used to the kayak a little bit. This is where I like to say, take it out on a calm, flat area where there's not a lot of traffic, maybe a local pond or something, and just get used to the limitations. Get used to turning it over. Get used to knowing how far you can lean before you really start to feel that instability. And you're going to get used to that kayak and build that confidence and that ability to stand up and fish from a kayak, to feel safe and secure. Also, keeping your head and your shoulders within the gunnels of the kayak is really going to be a huge, huge benefit to you as well. But focusing too much on it, whether you're on rivers or lakes, is really going to make it not go through the water as well. You're going to feel more like that boat is controlling you versus you controlling the boat, and that's not really what you're going to want to do in the long run there. Number one is going to be something that I've done, probably many of you have done, and I continue to see this, is going on Facebook groups or online forums and asking vague questions. And what I mean by the vague question is, hey, I'm 6'5", I'm 255 pounds. What is the best kayak for me? Or what's the most stable kayak for me? And what happens is you get just an influx of responses. And usually these people, and they mean well, don't get me wrong, but it's just people spitting out the kayak that they own or they have experience with, and you're not getting those real questions. You're not getting your needs fulfilled on what you're using that for. Because the best kayak for me may not be, or probably isn't, the best kayak for you personally, depending on what you're using it for. This is where you're really going to need to narrow things down a little bit on where you're using it, how you're using it, what do you want to do to it? You want to keep it simple, throw and go, or do you want to go nuts on it? You want to make it basically into a kayak bass boat. There's kayaks out there that fit every need now, and this is the best time as any in finding a kayak in a reasonable price for those needs. Going on Facebook groups, it's really going to cause more confusion and more frustration than it's really worth. And you're really going to leave that conversation with more questions and answers. Now, if you've narrowed down your search to 1 or 2 kayaks, which I always suggest, going to people that own those kayaks, either locally and demoing them out. There's very few people that won't allow someone to try out their kayak, because everyone wants to be an ambassador to a kayak that they're happy with. And I don't care what brand it is, just know that there's people out there who are willing and able to let you try one out. Or if you have a local paddle shop, that is always my number one recommendation. Go to your local paddle shop, talk to a professional that knows their stuff, and then they're going to go through those qualifying questions with you. How are you using it? Where are you wanting to take it? What do you want to do with it? And they're going to kind of narrow that down for you and get you in the right kayak. Because I don't know there's not very many paddle shops out there that are still running that are going to put you in something that you're going to be unhappy with for what you're using it for. So anyways, guys, that's my 5 things, my 5 biggest mistakes that I see people making when buying kayaks. Check out my video that I did on how to buy a kayak, kind of filter through the frustration of looking for that first kayak. And as always, leave me a comment down below if you've made these mistakes or all 5 of these mistakes. Let me know what you did, how you got through it, or what maybe some of the mistakes or some of the things that you did to kind of get through that down below. It could help somebody out, and it's always a good conversation starter down below. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll see you on the next one.